Welcome to this edition of Board Report for the month of April. This month, we'll talk to you about several student groups that went before the board for special recognition. We'll give you a status report on construction at 2 of our elementary campuses, and we'll tell you about an important announcement regarding next year's school calendar. I'm Celia Longoria, and I'm joined by our Superintendent of Schools, Mr. Antonio G. Limon, who's here to tell us about what transpired at the April board meeting. Welcome, Mr. Limon.
Thank you, Celia. Always a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. We start off with, we had a lot of students that went before the board for special recognition, and this is the way of the board members honoring all of our different accomplishments at the different levels. One group in particular, the career technology programs, we have several groups represented. We had a total of 18 students that are enrolled in the career technical education programs. These are the students that competed at the Skills USA State Leadership Competition in Corpus Christi. The building trades, the auto collision, and the animation and cosmetology clubs were honored. You want to talk to us a little bit about that?
Right. Our board takes pride in being able to recognize the students that come before them. And you may ask, what's the procedure for a student, to be recognized by the Board of Trustees? Well, it starts with the sponsor of the organization, that certain guidelines have to be met that meet for the recognition. That sponsor turns in the paperwork to your department, and your department then proceeds to schedule it to a board meeting. And the board very much loves, as I said, to recognize students that have met with success. It's always a proud moment to see the students come forward. If you see the videos of the board meeting, you will see that the audience is there. The house is usually packed with the parents, with the relatives of the students that are there to see them receive their recognition, which is a good thing. We're all proud of our children and want to see them get recognized and wish we could do a lot more of it. Of course, we're limited by space, we're limited by time, but it's always an honor to bring the children bring the young adults before the board and to have them be recognized. And it also airs over the airway over Channel 17, so additional recognition is there. And the students work very hard for this recognition. It's not something that's just given to them. They have put in long hours, whatever the program is, whether it's career and technology or whether it's one of the other programs that are being recognized. You could only imagine the number of hours they have put in order to be able to meet this criteria.
Mm-hmm. And also, I do want to point out the instructors for those particular programs also earned recognition as well because they spend a lot of time with the students, preparing them and helping them and coaching them. Paul Hernandez, Ed Vela, Candido Barales, and Efraim Verrial were some of the sponsors for the Career Technical Education program. One of the other programs that earned recognition, and we're always proud to showcase how they've done at the Rio Grande Valley Livestock Show. In Mercedes, we had a lot of students that went before the board, and these are students that are involved in our FFA program, local 4-H programs. They start as early as the 3rd grade level. So we had a group this year, and we had the campuses being represented: Ed Downs, Judge Oscar de la Fuente, Miller Jordan Middle School, VMA, and San Benito High School. You want to talk to us a little bit about that?
That's true as well. Our FFA program over the last 8, 9, 10 years, if you look back at all the accomplishments of our FFA program, they have pretty well dominated the Mercedes Livestock Show in many, many areas. A lot of hard work from all the instructors that are there, as you mentioned, a lot of hard work from the students, and a lot of hard work from the parents as well. Because the parents, are the ones that are also out there encouraging their children to do what it is that they have to do, to get up at a certain hour and to go walk the animal, to go feed the animal, to take care of the project, what have you. So it's an overall effort by everybody, but in a way it's good because it's an overall effort that unifies the family, that unifies the school with the family, and very proud of their accomplishments and the work that's being done by our FFA program.
Mm-hmm. And the sponsors for those particular programs, Eddie Garcia, Jorge Guerra, and Romana Cantu. I also want to point out something this year. I know Mr. Garcia is still tallying the figures as far as scholarship monies because the students that compete with their FFA or 4-H projects also get some scholarship monies if their project comes back with good results. This year we had 3 Reserve Grand Champion honors, 3 Breed Champion honors, and 4 Breed Reserve Champion honors. And all of those students that won those honors are walking away with scholarship monies that they can use in college.
That's true. And as Mr. Garcia mentions many times when I speak to him, Sonny Brazil would be proud. And Sonny would be proud, of the legacy he has left behind of all these young men that he trained and he helped mentor that are now doing the same for other young men and young women. So a very proud program and a very proud tradition.
And I know one of the things that we've seen throughout the course of the past several years is it's also a family tradition in cases where the mom or the dad was involved in these particular programs when they were growing up and they were raising projects or taking part in projects. And it's not just animals, there's also horticulture now that's been very, very strong. In some cases where the students have walked away with $900 for their plant because their plant has walked away with the top honors at that particular show. So it's a tradition that's passed on throughout the families. And in some cases, we have siblings that are in the program and that are there helping each other out with their projects as well.
Very true. And if you see the board meeting, you will see that. You will see that impact.
Now we move on to the area of athletics. This year, we've had a stellar year in the area of athletics for all of our different programs. For this particular board meeting, the powerlifting team went before the board to earn recognition, boys and girls as well. Now for the girls, they were named regional and state champions, and the team included 9 female athletes, and they are under the direction of head coach Laura T. Gonzalez and assistants Mike Evans and Jaime Vela. For the boys powerlifting, the head coach is Mike Evans, and he is assisted by Jaime Vela and Laura Gonzalez. And so they were also 5 athletes under the boys powerlifting team that were named state finalists.
So true. And the girls program, as you mentioned, were the state champions for the state of Texas. There was no other team better than them anywhere in the state. First time accomplishment for this program, first time for San Benito. Very proud of what they did. A state champion is a state champion.
So we're very proud of their efforts and, of course, to be able to recognize them. We move on to construction projects in the district. At the tail end here, we have 2 projects, Frank Roberts Elementary and Landrum Elementary, where the projects are still ongoing, and Mr. Lisandro Ramon provided a brief presentation on that.
Right. We're attempting to put the finishing touches on these projects. They should have been finished one of them back in December. So as you can tell, they're quite a bit behind schedule. And we're trying to do everything we can. Of course, we're not actually building them ourselves, so we can't really promise anything, but we were hoping to have at least Frank Roberts finished in time for the end of the year so they could use it for their end of the year festivities. We don't know if that's going to happen or not. They're still trying to get the air conditioning in and try and put some of the other finishing touches that are not there. But eventually, for next year for sure, they'll be ready. But for this year, we're not sure yet as to when the contractor is going to finish. For various reasons, they fell behind in meeting the deadlines that they were supposed to meet. That's neither here nor there now. What we're trying to do is just get them to finish so that we can use the facility.
And of course, we're coming to the tail end of the school year, and usually this time of year is when the school board members approve the calendar for next school year. Of course, to get ready for next school year, there's a committee that's made up of teachers, parents, community members, staff members in our district that meet several times throughout the course of the school year to try to prepare and plan for next school year. Calendar A received the most votes from our employees. So that was a calendar that was presented before the board for recommendation, and that's the calendar that ultimately received final approval by the board. So we're getting ready to start another school year pretty soon.
Another school year. Ending one and already planning for the next one. Well, this year, as you know, our last day of school for our students is May 31st. Graduation is June 1st. Now, the new calendar that was adopted for the, the 12-13 school year, that calendar doesn't start the students until August 27th, which is way late in August. We usually start our students at least a week earlier. So when you start a week later, that means that you end a week later. So therefore, that particular calendar, I think, calls for graduation to be on June the 7th.
That is correct.
Of that particular year, with last day of school being June the 6th. So that's what it looks like. I don't think it's on our website yet, but it will be available soon for you to view it. Once we finish out this year, we'll put our new calendar up there. But if you're making some long-range plans, be prepared to for next year, that school will not be over until probably, well, it won't be over until June 7th, if Lord willing.
And one of the things that we do usually during the summer months is we publicize the school calendar via our local newspapers. So that's something that we'll be doing early in the summer so that we can make sure that parents clip it and hang it onto the refrigerator. We also will make sure that it gets posted on the web.
And what we'll also do is, we right now are looking at the different attendance area, reclassifying attendance areas, trying to balance out our middle schools. We have one right now that has about 200 and something more students, and the other two trying to rebalance the attendance zones for our middle schools, rebalance the attendance zones for some of their elementary. So there'll be some changes, but we will advertise those also well in advance so that our parents will know what school their children were scheduled to be attending for the next school year.
Well, I believe we've covered all the highlights of the topics that the board members approved. I don't know if there's anything else that you would like to add.
Well, just, depending when you view this program, we are going into the heart of our testing, our STAR testing, our tax testing at the high school for the ones that are still under tax, and of course, I believe also involved in there. So just, this is a benchmark year, but still, we want to have a good showing so that we can have momentum going into next year when it really counts. So prepare the students like you usually do, speak to them about the importance of doing well, have a good breakfast or, get them to bed early, all the usual things that we do to get the best possible scores that we can.
Okay. Well, thank you, Mr. Limon, for being here.
Thank you.
Well, we hope you've enjoyed this edition of Board Report. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.